Hello everyone and welcome to Ledger Support. I'm Roy and today we're going to be talking about what to do when you accidentally sent a certain cryptocurrency via the wrong network. Now in today's example, I'm going to be working with Polygon, but this also goes for other cryptocurrencies such as, for example, Ethereum. Now, first off, let's talk about how you might have accidentally withdrawn cryptocurrencies via the wrong network. In order to do that, I am first going to be using Binance and I will enter my address where I wanted to send the Polygon to. Now, normally, in order to send it to the right network, what you would do is in network send Polygon or Matic. In this case, it would in Ledger Live become visible under my Polygon account. However, today we're going to be talking about accidentally sending it to the wrong network, so I will not be choosing that. Instead, I'm going to select Binance Smart Chain. So that's not the right network for Polygon, but it is still an option that you might have. So I will select that. I will get a little warning saying, hey, you selected the BNB Smart Chain network and not Polygon. So I'll just accidentally say, yes, I'm sure here. And from there, proceed with the withdrawal. From here, I would actually confirm it once more and actually start the withdrawal. Now, you might be thinking, all right, but why would you accidentally choose the wrong network? In the case of Polygon, it's not too evident. But if instead I would look at Ethereum, you can see that the fees for withdrawing Ethereum would be significantly higher than some other network like Arbitrum or Binance Smart Chain. Now, in Polygon's case, not so much the case, but in Ethereum, for example, it's something that we see quite commonly. Now, I will just off-screen go ahead and proceed with this withdrawal, and we'll take a look at what to do next after that. So, be right back. All right, and we're back, and this transaction has now actually concluded. However, you will immediately notice that the roughly 100 Polygon that I withdrew is not visible in my Polygon account. Even if I click on it, the 100-ish Polygon reception is not here. Now, the reason for that, of course, was because I did not choose Polygon as a network. Now, how can you actually detect which network you did use? In order for us to take a good look at that, we need to go back to Binance. And right here, I'm on the Overview tab. Now, if I scroll a bit further down, you can see the withdrawal that I made. If I click on More right here, I can take a closer look. Now, first off, it's actually going to show you the deposits. That's not what I want to take a look at. So I'll change the type to Withdrawal. And from here, I can find the transaction ID. As a matter of fact, I can click on this little icon right here, and I'll be brought to a Block Explorer page. Now, immediately, I'll see BSC scan, which stands for Binance Smart Chain. That's how I know, wait, that was not via Polygon. Instead, I used the Binance Smart Chain network. Now, what to do from here? So for this, I'll actually need to start using my Ledger device, because what I'll actually need to do is add a Binance Smart Chain account. In order to do that, I'll go to Accounts, click on Add Accounts, and type Binance Smart Chain. From here, I'll press Continue. I need to open the Binance Smart Chain app on my Ledger device. So let's go ahead and do that. And right now, Ledger Live is going to detect if I have any existing Binance Smart Chain balances. Now, I did actually already have a Binance Smart Chain account, which is why that balance is visible there. But I'll go ahead and add this account here. Now, from here, I can only see my BNB balance, but it also shows that I have some tokens. If I click on this, well, what do you know? That is where my Polygon actually is. So now we also know how to detect and find your Polygon again. One thing that's very important, however, if I want to send this Polygon on the Binance Smart Chain account, I need to have a bit of BNB. That will be used for paying for the transaction fees. Now, next up, let's actually take a look at how to start making that polygon back into actually the polygon network. There are two methods for doing that. One is sending it back to Binance or whichever centralized exchange that you previously used. The second option is using bridges. Let's first start with how to withdraw it via a centralized exchange again. So let's take a look. All right, so now that we actually have located the polygon again, let's actually get into the first method of getting that polygon from the Binance Smart Chain accounts over to the Polygon accounts. Now keep in mind here we're talking about Binance Smart Chain, but that also goes for other blockchains like Arbitrum, Optimism, and quite a few others also known as EVM compatible blockchains. Now for the first method, it's basically just sending it back to the centralized exchange where it came from. Why would I recommend the one that it came from? Well, quite simple. They must have supported you sending it, so you can probably deposit it there again as well. Now, we do always recommend you doing your own research whenever choosing which centralized exchange to use. Now, in my case, I used Binance. So what I'll need to do is actually click on the Matic token right here. And from here, I can start sending it. Now I do need to have that address again. So in order to actually find it, what I need to do is go back to the centralized exchange that I used, in my case, Binance. And here I need to find the address where I need to send it to. So I would click on deposit. I need to choose deposit crypto because yes, I do already have it. And from here, I need to choose which cryptocurrency. Now I'll take just a moment to load. Here we go. So the coin is Matic. And now an important part, the network. So here I should not be choosing Matic because that is not the network I've used. Instead, in my case, I need to use BSC or BNB Smart Chain. So I'll go ahead and select that. And I'm given my address right here. So I'll go ahead and copy that and go back to Ledger Live. Here, I'll paste it and press continue. Now don't worry, this auto verification is actually okay. It basically means that this address does not have capitals in it. Now I'll press continue. And in this case, I am only going to use 40 Polygon because I still need to have some left to show you guys the second method as well. Now I will go ahead and choose fast fees so that we don't have to wait a long time and press continue. Now here I get a small little recap and one more time I'll press continue. At this point, I need to start using my Ledger device. So I'll open the Binance Smart Chain app and I'll need to start confirming every detail meticulously. So here I can see review transaction. Indeed, I was sending 40 Polygon, that is correct. The address, I need to compare that quite well, and it can actually be found right here too. So I'm just taking a good look, and that does look correct. Now keep in mind, in my Ledger device, I do see capitalization. For Ethereum-based addresses, which Binance Smart Chain, Polygon, Arbitrum, Optimism, Kronos, all of those actually do use that too. So here, it doesn't matter that I see capitals, but I do need to make sure that the address does match. Keep in mind, capital sensitive addresses do exist for some other cryptocurrencies, but not for Ethereum-based or Ethereum virtual machine-based ones. Now here I'll also see the fees, another thing that you should actually take a good look at, and from there, accept and send. From here, the transaction is going to be on its way, but it will take a little bit for Binance to start to complete processing it. So we'll be right back when the transaction has been processed. All right, everyone, we're back. Unfortunately, we had to finish the recording on a different day, so that's why you're seeing a little bit of a different setup. Now, that being said, we are now on Binance, and you can indeed see that the Polygon has been received as intended. Now, to actually withdraw it onto the Polygon account rather than a different one. In order to do that, I need to go to Withdraw. And now once this page has loaded, I actually need to select the cryptocurrency that I want to withdraw first. And of course, that is going to be Polygon. So I'll click right here and choose Polygon. Now, once here, you can see that I need to enter an address. Now, we do really recommend users to first verify your receiving address. To do that, you click on Receive right here. You choose the cryptocurrency that you want to receive, so Polygon in my case, and you need to make sure that the app is open. Now, you can also open the app a little bit later, but personally, I would always recommend already having it open. So from here, I press Continue, and I'll need to compare what's on my computer screen right now versus what is on the Ledger device's screen. You might be thinking, okay, why does that matter? Actually, this is a crucial step. See, what is presented on my computer screen could be altered. My computer could be hacked, it could be infected with a virus, and they might actually replace that address shown right here, rather than what's on my Ledger device cannot be altered in that way. So I need to compare this, and I can see that indeed the address matches. From there, I will copy it, and I will go back to Binance and paste it right here. Now, for optimal security, it's best to actually compare what you just pasted versus what is on the Ledger device's screen. The next step is very important as well, which is choosing the network. I actually need to choose the Polygon network if I want to withdraw it on my Polygon account. So I'll click right here. You can see I have several options. If I choose Binance Smart Chain or BSC or Ethereum, I'm not going to receive it in my Polygon account. So that's why I need to choose Polygon here. Now from there, I will choose to withdraw the maximum amount and actually click on Withdraw. Click on Withdraw. Okay, there we go. So from here, I actually need to press Continue, and I'll actually need to provide my second factor authentication. Now, of course, that I'm not going to show you on screen, but in a moment you will see that my Polygon has been received on the correct account. So we'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everyone. So now taking another look at that Polygon that I withdrew from Binance via the Polygon network. If I scroll down now, you'll see that, hey, indeed, instead of 7 Polygon, I now have 47 Polygon, which is correct. Now, if I scroll even further down, the transaction is actually visible here in the transaction history. Little note here, these kind of NFTs, please ignore them because they tend to be fake ones. So please do ignore those. Now, also, if I go to my account, you can see that now the Polygon is actually visible in the Polygon account rather than a token in the Binance Smart Chain. That being said, I still have some Polygon as a token there, and that was on purpose to show you the second method. So the first method is via a centralized exchange. In my case, for example, I used Binance, but it can, of course, be another as well. Now, another option is a decentralized option, which is using what we call a bridge. Now, what a bridge allows you to do is send a particular token from one blockchain to another blockchain. We most often see this with what we call EVM-based blockchains. It's basically those cryptocurrencies that use the exact same address as Ethereum. If you ever want to check whether a particular blockchain is part of the EVM-based network, I would recommend going to a website called Chainlist. It actually should mention it there. Now, where can we find that bridge in Ledger Live? There is actually an option, and that is via the Discover section. Right here, if you go to the search bar, you can search for Squid, and this would allow you to send a token from one network to another. You can technically also swap it for a different cryptocurrency, but for our purpose today, we're going to try to bridge it to another. So I'll open Squid, and on my Ledger device right now, I'm going to open the Squid app as well. So there is a dedicated app for that. So the application is opened on my Ledger device. Next up, I need to actually set up the swap or actually bridge that I want to do. So currently I have some Polygon on the Binance Smart Chain, or BNB chain as it's called here. Now, once I select that, I need to select the cryptocurrency as well, which was the Matic token. After that, I need to select what I want to send it to and which token I want to receive. So for my intents and purposes, that is going to be the Polygon blockchain. And of course, the token is Matic. No, excuse me. Now, do keep in mind, this, of course, is for Matic on the Binance Smart Chain that I'm sending to the Polygon blockchain. If it's for a different cryptocurrency, you would basically change maybe the blockchain. For example, if I had an Optimism, I would select Optimism here. If I had it on Arbitrum, I would select Arbitrum, etc., etc. Now, from here, what I actually need to do is select the amount. And first things first, I may need to give an approval to Squid to actually use that token. Now, approvals is something actually that I want to dive in a little bit more because they are actually important. Now, what an approval basically is giving some other address the right to spend a particular token on your behalf. Now, in this case, I do actually need to use it because Squid needs access to my Matic on the Binance Smart Chain. That being said, these kind of approvals can be dangerous. If you're giving it to an illegitimate entity, or perhaps someone that just wants to steal from you, well, you're giving them approval to take your token. So be careful with those. If you ever sign an approval that you realize you should not have used, go to revoke.cash and you can actually undo it from there. Now, that being said, this is a legitimate purpose, so let's actually go ahead and click on give permission to use the token. I'll set some fast fees. Now, keep in mind, since I'm sending on the Binance Smart Chain, I need to spend BNB in fees. So I'll just go ahead and select fast for this purpose. Here's a little summary, press continue. And from here, a transaction should start showing up on the Squid app in just a moment. There's a little error message, and if I just click retry, it should now work. Let's see. All right, so now actually it's asking me to open the Squid app. Now, I did, of course, have it open already previously, but this can happen within the Discover section. Now, here I actually need to sign a transaction. So this is an approval. And if I go to the review part, it does say that the type is an approval. So you can detect that within Ledger Live. Now, I'll just go a bit fast. Normally, I would recommend actually verifying all the details very meticulously. But for this video, I'm just going to go a little bit faster so you don't have a 10-minute long video at the end of it. Now, the approval is now actually being made, and you can see that the transaction has been completed. So from here, I need to sign one more transaction, and that is actually submitting that bridge that I want to do. It's just re-estimating the fees, so that can happen. Now I'll just click on submit. Again, I'll go for the fast fees so that we don't have to wait too long. Here's again a little breakdown, pressing continue. I'll need to open the Squid app again on my Ledger device. So again, that can happen in the Discover section. So opening the app now. And here again, I need to actually check the details. Again, I will go through this a little bit faster, but do keep in mind that this may use a blind signing. Blind signing does actually mean that the exact contract and its execution cannot be detected on the Ledger device, and therefore you cannot actually verify those details. Do be careful whenever you're blind signing that you know and that you're sure you're using the correct contract. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and go through it, accept and send. Now we'll just have to wait till actually that transaction goes through. And here you see it starts saying processing That's a good sign. It says it should take about 20 seconds. After those 20 seconds, that polygon that I had on the Binance Smart Chain should actually now be moved to the Polygon account where I wanted to have it in the first place. So we'll be right back to actually see if that has. And we're back. It actually ended up taking just a few more seconds after pausing the video, but you can now see that the swap or the bridge is mentioned to be complete. So it was Matic from BNB chain to Polygon. And now if I go back to my account, you will see that I have 0 Polygon left on the Binance Smart Chain, and I do now have 106 Polygon. If I go to the transaction history, you will not actually see this type of operation, so that can happen, but the balance is reflected correctly. So now I've essentially shown 2 different ways that you can make sure that if you receive a certain crypto on the Ring network, that you can still get it to the right one anyway. I hope this video was useful to you guys. If there's ever anything else, don't hesitate to suggest it to us. And that being said, wishing you a wonderful day. Thank you for watching.